They could be the first of many arrests for gang-related activity. We're talking to Lexington's chief of police about who his investigators are watching.
A man learns his fate in the shooting death of a Lexington teenager. Hear what the victim's grandmother had to say about the outcome in court.
And the governor of Florida declares a state of emergency as Tropical Storm Erica inches closer to the U.S. coast.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
Good afternoon. We are continuing to track a deadly hit-and-run crash involving a bicycle here in Lexington. We have learned the driver who hit the cyclist is now in custody. That crash happened about 2 hours ago on Newtown Pike near New Circle. We know that the driver hit a cyclist and then took off. WKYT's Monique Blair is at the scene. And Monique, you just talked with the Fayette County coroner about what happened.
Yeah, Sam and Amber, I just spoke with Fayette County Coroner Gary Ginn, who tells me a male adult bicyclist was pronounced dead here at the scene after he was struck by a pickup truck. Now, Lexington police tell us the accident happened a few minutes after 3 o'clock out here on Newtown Pike and Newtown Circle. We're told the truck driver initially drove away from the scene, but witnesses were able to provide police with the driver's license plate number and a description of the driver. With that information, police went to the driver's home where they found the person believed to be the driver of that truck. The driver is in custody now, but was first taken to the hospital. Police are trying to open as many lanes as possible right now while the accident reconstruction unit works to figure out exactly how this accident happened. Coroner Gary Ginn is asking for drivers to be cautious if you come through this area, and if possible, take a different route if you can.
It's a 5 o'clock rush hour, so if people would just be patient and just remember that a person has lost their life here, and the investigation, the death investigation, needs to take place in order for for answers for the family to be.
Now where the bike is laying behind me in what appears to be right off the shoulder lane. Coroner Ginn says it does appear the bike was traveling with traffic when it was hit, but officials have not released exactly how that truck struck the bicyclist. Reporting live in Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Okay, a lot more details to uncover here. Keep checking WKYT for the very latest on that. We'll have more from the scene on WKYT News coming up at 5:30. Now to our other top story. Police say they tried to recruit people in Lexington to join a nationally known gang, and today 3 men appeared in court for those crimes. Gerald Smith, Gregory Smith, and Trevor Spencer are charged with criminal gang recruiting. Police say they were part of a group at Whitney Young Park beating someone up as part of an initiation. As Kristen Kennedy tells us, the charges they face, just a misdemeanor. She's our top story at 5.
Their charges were a year in the making. The Lexington chief of police tells us his investigators have been watching for a long time. Last September, Lexington investigators say Gerald Smith, Gregory Smith, and Trevor Spencer were part of a beat-in at Whitney Young Park. They described the gang-related event as an initiation for a prospective member, where officers say gang members beat someone for 5 minutes. This beat-in, officers say, happened when a lot of families were out at the park for a sporting event.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Kevin Maddox lives near Whitney Young Park.
There's a lot of bad things that I'm sure happen up here, so I don't know everything that goes on. I just know that it is a rough area.
All 3 men are facing misdemeanors. Police Chief Mark Barnard says more arrests could be coming.
When we watched these individuals do an initiation into what we called a gang in Lexington, we waited and we watched them, monitored them, and we have run a program where we have identified certain individuals that are doing recruitments into this informalized gang, and we made the arrest.
Both Smiths pleaded guilty and were released on time served today. Spencer is facing additional charges, and he'll be back in court for a preliminary hearing September 1st. In Lexington, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
In addition to the criminal gang recruitment charge, Trevor Spencer is facing charges of trafficking marijuana, trafficking synthetic marijuana, trafficking cocaine, and possession of a handgun by a felon. A man convicted of gunning down a Lexington high school student learned his fate today. A judge sentenced Deonta Hayes to 35 years in prison. He was convicted of killing 16-year-old Chaz Black and shooting 2 other teenagers in a Palumbo Drive apartment back in 2012. Michelle Chamberlain talked to Black's grandmother, who says she has mixed emotions about the sentencing.
Deontay Hayes now knows his fate as a judge sentenced him to 35 years in prison for the 2012 murder of 16-year-old Chaz Black. Hayes was also sentenced on other charges today, including assault and being a persistent felon. In July, a jury deliberated for more than 15 hours, finding Hayes guilty of killing Black, as well as shooting 2 others at an apartment on Palumbo Drive. Today, Judge Thomas Clark agreed with the jury's recommendation that Hayes should serve his charges concurrently versus consecutively, meaning the most time he'll serve is 35 years. Black's family had mixed emotions on today's sentencing.
I feel we got some justice for Chaz. Our lives have been devastated. There will never, ever be any closure because we don't have our Chaz.
Hayes will be eligible for parole in 20 years. The judge also granted restitution for Black's family of over $25,000 for medical bills and funeral expenses.
To know that this evil person has been taken off the street, maybe save the lives of other young kids.
In Lexington, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Hayes denied our request for an interview. He can appeal his sentence in 30 days. We're tracking a disturbing case from the University of Kentucky. A Garrett County man is now in jail in Lexington on more than a dozen counts of voyeurism. UK police say they arrested 24-year-old Ryan Smith after a 5-month investigation. Investigators say the former UK student placed cameras in women's bathrooms across the UK campus. We'll have much more on this coming up on WKYT News at 6.
Police are trying to track down a man they say robbed a gas station in southern Kentucky. Our county-by-county coverage at 5 begins in Whitley County. Police say it happened at the Express Mart just off I-75 at exit 15 last night. The sheriff's office says the man walked in, showed a weapon, and stole cash. The man was last seen leaving the area in a silver Nissan Sentra with a female driver. In Letcher County, a man is behind bars and another in the hospital after a shooting. State police say 28-year-old Claude Hall Jr. was shot in the leg at his home in the Whitco community during a fight last night. 20-year-old Joseph Pack is now charged with assault. And in Laurel County, a woman is recovering after deputies say she was found beaten. Deputies arrested 41-year-old Gregory Johnson last night near Echo Valley Road after getting a complaint about domestic violence. Deputies say the woman was found severely beaten with a baseball bat. The woman was taken to the hospital. Johnson's been charged with assault.
The string of beautiful weather that we have enjoyed with sunny skies and temperatures in the 70s and 80s continued today, but we're tracking some changes for the weekend. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey's here, and he's keeping a close eye also on possibility of maybe some showers and storms, right, Chris?
Yeah, that is certainly a potential as we go into the next few days and what has been a mainly dry August after that super soaker of a summer. Though outside right now we've got a little bit of haze beginning to show up. That's a sign of things to come. Some high clouds that are out there too. High school football fans, you want to talk about another winter of a weather evening. Mid and upper 70s kickoff. We'll drop that into the upper 60s to around 70 by the time we roll our way into especially the fourth quarter of a lot of those games. Moisture is increasing, though, across the Plain States. We've got juice coming out of the deep south. You can actually see a little swirl showing up here in the southern parts of Georgia. That's a system that arrives around here as we go into Saturday night and Sunday. So your weather headlines, a few storms returning this weekend. Humidity levels are going to continue to ramp up over the next few days. And the tropical temperatures that we had back earlier in the summer are back in the bluegrass states. We will track it all when I come back with an updated hour-by-hour forecast, guys. That's in about 10 minutes.
Chris, thank you. The governor of Florida has declared a state of emergency as Tropical Storm Erica heads closer to the United States. The storm hit Puerto Rico today after passing through the Caribbean. The storm has already killed at least 20 people there. And the governor is warning people to be prepared.
Don't drive into standing water. Make sure you have 3 days of water, 3 days of food.
Along with the entire state of Florida, Erica could bring heavy rains to parts of Georgia and South Carolina.
Former President George W. Bush toured New Orleans today to mark the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. The president and Mrs. Bush also traveled to Gulfport, Mississippi to thank first responders who helped after the hurricane. More than 1,800 people died, 1 million people were displaced, and 250,000 houses were destroyed in the storm. Survivors say even 10 years later, the memories are still fresh.
We saw all types of horrible things, like some people are passing away because they were older, and there are people who were hungry and thirsty.
During his presidency, President Bush was sharply criticized for his administration's response to the catastrophic storm.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell is back in his home state today, making stops in Lexington and Mount Sterling.
And it just so happens our Washington correspondent Kelly Meyer is also here from D.C. She caught up with the Senate Majority Leader on what is first on the agenda when Congress gets back in session. It's a story that's new at 5.
Leader McConnell touched on everything from trade to the election to gun control. But he says the biggest takeaway was the people's thoughts on the Iran deal. The senator came to Mount Sterling to talk with members of the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce. Much of the majority leader's speech focused on the upcoming vote of the nuclear agreement with Iran. McConnell said the only way one of these deals could ever work would be if you had a credible way to prove certain things were not happening. He compared the choice of the Iranians to decide when and where their check-ins would be to NFL and Major League Baseball deciding what samples to send for their drug tests.
It's a very flawed deal. I hope it will be defeated. In my view, makes Iran a nuclear threshold state, doesn't do anything to deter their activities promoting and funding terrorism around the world.
McConnell says the first thing they're going to do when they get back to Congress is take a look at this Iran deal. He says if it is approved, he hopes the next president will remove it. Reporting in Montgomery County, I'm Kelly Meyer, WKYT.
The shopping plaza in Virginia, where a TV news crew was murdered, reopened today. Bridgewater Plaza reopened in Moneta this morning for the first time since the tragedy. WDBJ reporter Allison Parker and photographer Adam Ward were gunned down on live TV Wednesday by former colleague Vester Flanagan. At the entrance to the shopping center, well-wishers are leaving flowers and mementos at a memorial for the two.
It hit me as soon as I hit the parking lot. That, you know, this young lady was only 24 years old, prime of her life, and some idiot takes her out.
Dozens gathered outside the CBS affiliate in Roanoke Thursday night for a Stop the Violence candlelight vigil.
A jury handed down a verdict in the sexual assault case against a former New Hampshire prep school student. 19-year-old Owen Labrie was found guilty on 5 charges, including 3 of misdemeanor sexual assault. Labrie was accused of raping a 15-year-old girl at a St. Paul's school academic building. Prosecutors say Labrie carefully planned out the assault, but he says what happened was consensual. Labrie could face up to 11 years in prison. The CEO of Ashley Madison's parent company, Avid Life Media Incorporated, is stepping down. Noelle Bitterman's departure comes after hackers released confidential information about millions of Ashley Madison clients. The website is for married people who want to cheat on their spouses. A Twitter account claimed to expose people here in Kentucky, but the account was suspended.
Vegan. It is time now for better living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. It was once considered just a fad, but vegan diets are catching on in a big way. Across the country, vegan restaurants are becoming a favorite among consumers, even those who don't follow a strict vegan diet. Chris Martinez has more now from Culver City, California.
At Native Foods Cafe near Los Angeles, business is good. And it's not just here. In just 1 year, the all-vegan restaurant chain has grown across the country.
We doubled the size of the organization. We went from 12 to 26.
The vegan diet has been around a long time, but it's gaining a new following. It's strictly plant-based. No meat, fish, poultry, eggs, or dairy. But many dishes at Native Foods look like traditional meals.
We have our meatball sub, which is absolutely delicious.
Tofu and other plant substitutes are made to look like meat. Vivian Nelson says that keeps her coming back. She's not a strict vegan, but likes the healthy choices.
I feel good when I eat here, and yet it's so satisfying you're not hungry for hours afterwards.
Oh, it's definitely not a fad.
Senior editor of the Vegetarian Journal, Samantha Gendler, says options for vegan consumers have surged. 20 years ago, there were only a few dozen vegan restaurants in the U.S. Today, there are more than 600. Many mainstream restaurants, including Chipotle, have vegan options on the menu, and supermarkets are offering more vegan items.
We're also seeing in generic chain grocery stores vegan butter, vegan ice cream, vegan deli slices, even vegan cookie dough.
Those options expected only to grow as more Americans continue to embrace vegan meals. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
After a patient undergoes heart surgery, the process is not complete. It takes work to get the heart back working to its full potential. Ed Parsons is on the mend after having surgery earlier this year to repair a heart murmur. It turns out one of his heart valves was leaking. After surgery, Ed set small goals for himself in hopes of getting life back to normal. With some help from the doctor, Ed is working on bigger steps.
I'm starting to work out in the yard and cutting down trees and picking up heavy stuff, and so I would say I'm probably 85–90% of where I used to be.
Ed's advice to others in a similar situation: set goals, remain positive, and don't take anything for granted. Federal regulators are keeping an eye on cigarette companies that label their products natural or additive free. The Food and Drug Administration issued warning letters to the makers of Winston, Natural Spirit, and Nat Sherman cigarettes. The agency says the claims may lead consumers to believe the products pose a lower health risk compared to regular cigarettes.